New Orleans in 1919 carried a rhythm all its own, a city of brass bands, riverboats, and night air thick with music. But beneath the sound of trumpets and laughter, another beat pulsed. Slow, tense, and controlled. A beat set not by musicians, but by police. The city remembered the name Robert Charles. 19 years earlier, his resistance had shaken New Orleans to its core. White leaders never forgot it. And in 1919, as Black veterans returned from World War I wearing their uniforms with pride, the city's fear returned with them. Police watched the docks closely. They watched the uniforms. They watched the medals. They watched the posture of men who had fought for democracy overseas and expected a measure of it at home. To the city's white leadership, these men were not heroes. They were warnings. New Orleans did not explode like Chicago or Washington. It simmered. It tightened. It controlled. Black neighborhoods like Treme and the back of town lived under constant surveillance. Police patrolled the streets not to keep peace, but to keep boundaries. A veteran walking too confidently could be stopped. A worker speaking too boldly could be questioned. A musician drawing too large a crowd could be dispersed. The city called it order. But everyone knew what it really was. Black longshoremen felt it on the docks. They carried the weight of the city's economy on their backs, loading ships, unloading cargo, keeping the river alive. But when they organized for better pay, police stood ready to break their lines. White unions feared their strength. City officials feared their unity. And the police feared their pride. Still, New Orleans' Black community refused to shrink. They gathered in barbershops and churches. They danced in halls lit by lanterns. They played music that carried joy through the streets, even when the law tried to silence it. They built life in the cracks of a city determined to contain them. Veterans found each other in these spaces. They shared stories of France, of fighting shoulder to shoulder, of being treated as men for the first time in their lives. And they shared the sting of returning home to a city that treated them as threats. New Orleans did not need a riot to reveal its truth. Its truth lived in the quiet moments, the stops, the searches, the warnings, the patrols. The truth lived in the way police watched Black neighborhoods like borders. The truth lived in the way the city used music and tourism to mask its fear of Black freedom. The Red Summer reached New Orleans not through fire, but through pressure. A pressure that pushed down on every Black veteran, every worker, every family. A pressure that tried to keep the city's rhythm predictable and controlled. But New Orleans had never been a city that stayed quiet. Its people carried a different rhythm, one of survival, resistance, and joy that refused to be contained. And in 1919, that rhythm played on, even under the watchful eyes of the police. This was New Orleans during the Red Summer. A city that sang through the pressure, even when the world tried to silence its voice. They tried to erase it. They tried to silence it. But we are still here, still telling the truth. If this episode challenged what you thought you knew, don't keep it to yourself. Push it forward. Start the conversation they tried to silence. This is Black Justice Untold. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.